Alrighty, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright, and welcome in, everybody. Hope y'all are having a fantastic, fantabulous, awesome freaking day. My name is Garrett Shoemake, and this is the Shoemake Football. Real NFL football is back, and I am super duper excited because we finally get to TheShumakeTake Season 2, starting with a Week 1 preview. Doesn't get much better than this. All the hype and loud talking aside, I am so freaking happy that we are back. Listen here for a second. Doing stuff over the offseason is fun. It's a lot of fun. But let me tell you something. It doesn't get much more fun than when we get to real NFL football. The games actually matter. The stakes are high. Things are super important. The best players are out there every single week. It doesn't get much better than the NFL season when it hits. And obviously that you guys feel that same way as well. But this year, things are going to be different. We have more of a following now. We have over 230 subscribers compared to the last time when Season 1 dropped. We had not very many compared to this. But now we have a following. We have a community that we're building. There is so much going on this year for Season 2 of the TheShumakeTake. I cannot wait to talk about the season with you guys as we go through it together. Wow. It is the best time of the year. I feel like a kid on Christmas morning right now. If it wasn't obvious enough. I am excited out the wazoo to talk about real NFL football with you guys. And before we start officially, a couple things I want to talk to you guys about this first. We'll get a little bit more serious now. So I'm adding a little bit more things production value wise to the show. As you can tell, there's a little bit of a new intro. There's going to be transitions now. There's going to be sound effects that go with that said transition. And I might put music when we start talking about the teams. Maybe. I'm not 100% sure on that. I'm going to work on it in post-production while I'm editing and see how it works out. So if you guys see it, great. If not, don't worry. I'm not going to rule it out completely. I just have to see how I can implement it, because I was trying to find some music that I could put in just so it sounds a little bit better. There's a little bit more going on. It's a little bit more immersive, if you will. But I haven't been able to find something that really resonates with me quite yet. So we'll see. I have a couple things I have in mind that I'm willing to try and work with. But if those don't work out, then I'm not going to put it in there. If I don't like it and I don't think it sounds good, then I'm not going to put it in there. But that being said, I'm going to slowly try and start implementing more production value-esque things to the show to make it more of a watchable experience in Season 2. And one thing I was trying to implement is like a overlay. I know, like, for example, like, it shows me, like, here, like, in a box, and then, like, on the right or on the left side of your screen, it'll show, like, the top topics for the video, right? Something like this. I'll use one of the YouTubers I watch. His name is Tyler Rowland. He's the host of the Locked On Titans podcast. I'm a Titans fan, if you guys didn't know, if you guys didn't tell by the shirt already. But that type of, like, graphic overlay is what I'm trying to implement. And the only way I've seen it be implemented is if you go live. Like, if you do live streaming, whether it's, like, on YouTube or on Twitch, like, that's the only way you can have access to these types of graphics. And to me, it's like, why can't I not have it for just simple recording production value? Like, I don't want to have to go live streaming right now just to get the graphics. So if anybody knows where, like, I could get something like that or make one, I've tried making one. It's just I don't have the best graphic design experience, so it's not my expertise, so it doesn't look as good. It looks very amateur, so I don't want to put an amateur graphic onto the show. So I want to put something that's a little bit more higher quality, something that's a little bit better to look at. And it's not bad, it's just not great. But some of the things I found are fantastic. And so if you guys know where I could get something like that, please let me know in the comments. Or if I have to go live, then in that case, we will start figuring out how to make this show go live every single week and talking about recaps and weekly previews. So with that being said, all the TheShumakeTake Season 2 mumbo jumbo aside, now we can start previewing the teams. And I'm going to try and keep things short. I don't really know how long this video is going to be. The last year it was over an hour long. I don't want it to be that long. I want it to be good, concise, whatever it needs to be. Whatever that looks like, we're going to find out, and we're going to grow, and we're going to learn about it more as we go through the season. So Well, that being said, one more thing, actually, I'm getting so excited, I'm losing track of what I'm supposed to be telling you guys here, but a little bit different approach to talking about the games. Normally I had it on like a list, and I still have it on a list, but this go around, we're going to go down the list, and then we'll conclude with my top 5 games of the week, which will be numbered and mentioned as they come up. They will be at the very end of the show. Also, there will be timestamps for every single game preview in the video and in the video description. So if you want to hear just a specific game or a specific stretch of games, go right ahead. It is there for your pleasure. But if you're here to listen to the whole thing, which please do, here we go, starting with Thursday Night Football. First game of the year, you got the Dallas Cowboys going to the Philadelphia Eagles. First game of the year, and I'm going to try and not do this, but sorry, give me the Eagles to win this game. I really don't know how the Dallas Cowboys can win this game. I'll acknowledge that obviously it's possible. It's the NFL. Anything can happen. But right now, at this moment in time, the Eagles are 100% winning this game. I want to try and analyze the game first and break it down before I pick my winner, but in this situation, it's just so lopsided. I don't see any scenario where Dallas wins. The Eagles have the better roster, they have the better coaches, they have a better team in general, they have a better culture. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys, not only do I expect them to be bad this year, they're going to be bad this year, even more so because they traded away Micah Parsons, which I probably should have made a video on that, but ultimately I chose not to because the more I thought about it, this was inevitable at this point. I mean, if you didn't think Micah Parsons was going to get traded, then I don't know what you were probably thinking. Now, that's not no shade to nobody, but to me, it was clear as day that Micah Parsons was done in Dallas. He said he didn't want to play anymore, and he kept to his word. So what is there to misconstrue? So obviously it was going to happen, but for the Packers, I did not expect the Packers to be the one that landed Micah Parsons. They gave up 2 first-round picks, gave him a 4-year, I think it was $199 million contract, making him the highest-paid non-quarterback in NFL history. So congratulations to Micah Parsons. He definitely deserved it, and the fact that the Dallas Cowboys didn't want to give it to him is ludicrous, and they traded away their best player for Kenny Clark, a 30-year-old defensive tackle, who is still good, by the way, and he's going to help their defensive line, especially against the run, but right now, there's no way that even with that move that there's no chance. They're going back to the point. There's no chance that the Eagles win this game. They're also at home. First game of the year. Give me the Eagles to win this game in what should be a pretty one-sided matchup. Now getting back into the swing of things. Dolphins versus Colts. Our first Sunday morning, afternoon game, whatever time you guys are going to be watching this. I probably shouldn't have said that, but we're going to continue. Dolphins, Colts. Here is our first interesting one because these two teams are going to be in similar boats. I don't think these two teams are going to be very good in 2025, but it's going to be a matter of what is going to happen with Miami's offense against a new revamped defense in Indy led by Lou Anarumo. And then on offense, how does this Colts offense with poor quarterback play? How does Daniel Jones do against a Dolphins defense that has a lot of question marks, that has a lot of issues? These two teams they match up pretty well in a weird way because there's a lot of storylines to follow. Like I mentioned with the offense, with the Colts offense going against Miami's defense, and then Miami's offense going up against a new Colts defense, which added talent, especially in the secondary with Cam Bynum and Charvarius Ward. So I want to see how the Colts defense, more specifically, I want to see how this Colts defense looks in week 1. I want to see them look structured. I want to see them play clean. I don't want to see a lot of penalties. I don't want to see this team get a lot of big plays over their head or gashed up the middle. I don't want to see them allow very many big plays because they went out to fix that problem. They had that problem really, really bad last year. So I want to see some improvement there. I just want to see some clean, solid football from the Colts defense. And then on Miami's side, they should be able to take over this game. They have the offensive firepower. Say what you want about the defense, but this defense has talent. It should be good enough to be able to have at least compete against the Colts. Their offensive line is not as strong. And yes, the Dolphins corners are probably going to be awful this year. So look for Michael Pittman, Adonai Mitchell. Look for all that entire crew to go nuts potentially if things work out in the Colts' favor. But right now, I would have to say, give me the Colts to win this game. They're at home. I think that with the passing attack matching up really well against this Dolphins secondary. I like that lopsidedness for them. So I think that's where you're going to see the Colts get a couple deep shots. You're going to see them have some success, especially on third down. And that is where I kind of stand. Although the Dolphins, they could win this game. They definitely have the offensive firepower to be able to blow through the Colts if needed, or potentially. But right now, I think the Colts are going to win a tough slugfest in week 1. It's not going to be a very great game, but it's going to be the one the Colts win and start 1-0. Then we move on to another lopsided matchup. You got the Pittsburgh Steelers going on the road against the New York Jets. Justin Fields facing against his former team in Pittsburgh. And this one is, like I said, is going to be lopsided. What do I want to see, though? From the Jets side, the thing is you got a new head coach in Aaron Glenn. This is going to be his first game coaching as a head coach in the NFL, I want the Jets to look competent. I don't want them to get blown out. I think it's going to be pretty lopsided, but I don't want them looking unprepared. I want them to just look prepared, look clean. Let's not have any turnovers. Let's not have too many penalties. Let's just look like a competent football team, because Aaron Glenn is a good defensive mind. He's a great leader, and compared to other previous head coaches for the Jets, I want to see an improvement there. Aaron Glenn comes from a successful organization. I want to see that success and that energy rub off on the Jets. And so while they may lose, they will not look like they're just completely lost out there. I just want them to look like they belong. That's all I want to see from the New York Jets. Not to look like the typical New York Jets that look like they don't know what the heck they're doing. As long as you look like you know what you're doing for the most part, even if you don't match up well against the Steelers, that is fine. And for Pittsburgh, you're going up against a solid defense in the Jets defense at minimum, if not really, really good. So I want to see how these weapons deal with that problem, how Arthur Smith, their offensive coordinator, deals with this problem. Because if the Steelers can't run the ball, the offense just will not work. It will straight up not work. Arthur Smith's offense has been known to do this from his time in Tennessee and Atlanta to now. If you can stop the run against Arthur Smith, the entire thing falls apart. So Caleb Johnson, the rookie, Jalen Warren, they need to step up and play good, regardless of how Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf plays, which Aaron Rodgers is going against his former team in the New York Jets. So there's another storyline to be looking at. They're probably going to play fine, but this running game needs to do a good job, because if it doesn't, more than likely, this offense is going to fall apart, and the Steelers do not have the weapons and the receiving room to be able to compensate for that. So the run game needs to start strong. They need to give the ball early and often to these two backs. Let them get comfortable. Let them get going. And of course, feed DK Metcalf. Get him involved. The only thing is, if the Jets defense is really good this year, this could be a closer game than what I'm expecting. But right now, with a new head coach in the New York Jets, with a quarterback in Justin Fields that I'm not excited about, going up against a good Pittsburgh defense, I think the Steelers win this game by at least 10 points. It is not going to be a super close game for a very long. It might be close to start, but it's not going to be close by the time the final zeros hit. Now, we move to another close game. The Panthers on the road against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Two young teams with a lot of potential, a lot of hype surrounding these teams for the most part in their fan bases, and for good reason. Obviously in Carolina, Dave Canales going into year 2 as head coach, Bryce Young going into year 3, building off of what was a very strong finish to 2024 where the offense looked like it was coming together. The defense, now revamped with new pieces in place, should be improved. So the first thing I'm going to be looking for on their side for the Panthers is, how does this defense look? This defense, with all the new pieces they added, should be improved. Do I expect it to be a night and day jump? Of course not. But I want to see this defense look competent, because they weren't last year. I always want to see a defense that looks better because of the pieces that they added. Whatever that looks like, I don't know specifically. But as long as it doesn't look as bad as what it did look like last year, fine. That's going to be a plus for me. And on the offensive side, how does Xavier Legette and Tetairoa McMillan do, their 8th overall pick out of Arizona? Because these two guys need to step up big. They traded away Adam Thielen to the Minnesota Vikings, so he has a reunion. That was a big, big mistake. That was Bryce Young's most reliable target, and I'm sorry, even if that means that Xavier Legette and Tessero McMillan doing good, why would you take away that security blanket? Why would you take that away from Bryce Young, who's still developing, still growing? If you want him to hit his ceiling, he needs all the help he can get. So trading away his most reliable weapon his first couple years being in the league with the Panthers, I think that's a bad decision. But at the same time, the Vikings also need that help for J.J. McCarthy. So if they really believe in these two young receivers, then maybe you could, cut someone off there and get some capital back. But I think that will not bode well for them. That's going to hurt them early on in the year. And then you get to the the Jacksonville Jaguars side of things. Liam Cohen, rookie head coach, going into his first year with working with Trevor Lawrence. In that offense, they loaded up to fix the offense as best as they could. They brought in De'Ami Brown. They drafted Travis Hunter. They are hoping that Parker Washington at receiver can play a bigger role for them, especially in the return game. You're also hoping tight end Brenton Strange can step up in a big role. They brought in Robert Hainsey to be the new center after Mitch Morse left. And they also brought in Patrick McCarry to help this offensive line. Anton Harrison going into year 3, their young tackle out of Oklahoma. So you want to see, I think Walker Little is their tackle as well on the other side. So the offensive line, they saw it out to try and upgrade the spot. They tried to upgrade their receivers. And so I want to see this offense look better. I want to see this passing game more particularly just look clean. I don't want to see a lot of missed throws. I don't want to see drop passes. I want to see good, solid, fundamental football from the Jaguars offense. And that's going to be a common theme through this entire video because week 1 is not really more about getting into the weeds of your scheme and game planning. There's not as much film to work off of, right? So it's mostly just getting back into the swing of things and running what you like to run, running what you do best, more than game planning to beat a certain team because there's not a lot of film yet of this year, right? So there's not as much to work off with. So you're going to be more inclined to just use what you've been working on all off season more than your game plan per se against how to beat a specific team. Well, yeah, you have previous film that you use, right? You have all that. You still obviously watch film and do the whole shebang when you're game planning, but it's not as deep compared to week 15, for example. So I just want to see the Jaguars offense look fundamental, look clean, and for their defense, they better play well against Bryce Young and these young weapons because that's what they are. They're young, which means they're susceptible to making mistakes. And so if you can force mistakes and Jacksonville's offense can just perform and be solid, they can win. But right now, the Carolina Panthers, I think, win this game because I believe in their continuity. I believe in how strong they finished and then being able to carry that over. So that's going to give them a big boost. And also, Dave Canales has experience. Liam Cohen doesn't. And so while Liam Cohen could win week 1, I think the Panthers' continuity and their young weapons is going to shine in this game against the Jaguars defense, do some good things, and eke out a close win. Now we move to the Cardinals versus the New Orleans Saints, where Kyler Murray is going up against, as I knock stuff down, I apologize, going up against Spencer Rattler in New Orleans because he was named the week 1 starter, which probably should have been. Doesn't mean the Saints are in a good situation, which is why I have the Cardinals winning this game. The Cardinals, they had a really strong finish to last year for the most part. They had the division in hand at one point. They lost it. Their roster got better. They are trying to win and build. And I think they have the opportunity to do that. And starting with the win against the Saints is good. So what do I want to see? I want to see, first and foremost, I want to see this defensive line because they revamped it. Darius Robinson is coming back, but they brought back Calais Campbell. They have Dalvin Tomlinson now. They brought in Josh Sweat and gave him a big money contract. So I want to see this defensive line match up against this Saints offensive line that has some good players. You have Kelvin Banks Jr., the rookie left tackle out of Texas, making his first start. Talese Fuaga, their second-year tackle, going to the back to the right side in year 2, who looked very promising. Trevor Penning's going into a contract year at left guard. And you also have Cesar Ruiz at center, or is he a guard? I can never remember. I'm so sorry. But I want to see this defensive line that's been revamped go up against this offensive line and do well. They should. I think their defensive line matches up well against this offensive line. And considering if the Saints have quarterback problems, they're going to have receiver problems. I don't know. They should be okay in week 1, right? Everybody's going to be healthy, but how long is that going to last? I don't know. There's so much instability and newness with the Saints right now, also with a new head coach to mention, and Kellen Moore, who has a lot of experience. Where was I going with that? I don't know. Scratch that. So I don't know. Like, there's a lot of inexperience, a lot of newness with this team. And so the Cardinals, with a lot more continuity, with a better roster, and right now I would say a better coach for sure, a better quarterback, I think the Cardinals win this game week 1. I think that they're the better football team through and through, and the Saints are probably going to look pretty bad in week 1. So look for that. That's what I'm expecting. Cardinals winning this game. Next up, we got another one, a divisional showdown, the Giants versus the Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels going into year 2, going up against a revamped Giants defense led by their defensive coordinator, Shane Bowen, a little bit of a brain fart. And for the Commanders side, the offense, I want to see Deebo Samuel contribute because they gave Terry McLaurin a big contract, which they finally did. Congratulations, what they should have done. But Deebo Samuel is now the number 2 target. He needs to make an impact. He's been mediocre these past couple years in San Francisco. They traded for him because they think he's going to be an upgrade. I want to see the fruits of that trade early. It may not be some big 100-yard performance, but I want to see him get the ball. I want him to look good when getting the ball. I want him to see getting open consistently even when he's not getting the ball. I want to see them use him in the run game and look consistent there. I just want him to look productive and consistent. That's what I'm looking for Deebo Samuel in the Commanders offense in week 1. The offensive line should be better, so I'm expecting them to do well, and they're going to have to do well because the one true strength of this Giants team, if I had to pick one and only one, would be their defensive line, which is led by Sexy Dexy, Dexter Lawrence, and then the edge rush trio of Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, and 3rd overall pick Abdul Carter. They have juice, they have energy and strength to go rush the passer and make Jaden Daniels' life uncomfortable. So going to the Giants side, this is the only way they're going to win this game is if they can get pressure on Jaden Daniels, make him run around and break down the structure of this offense and make him uncomfortable. If you can make him uncomfortable and break down his structure, he is going to make mistakes. He is going to make some poor decisions. And with the people that they added in the secondary, like Paulson Adebo and Javon Holland, they should be able to make a couple plays if that happens. But right now, I think the Commanders are a much better football team. I think their defense is going to do a good job against the Giants offense, which other than Malik Neighbors, who should do a good job in year 2 in this first game, I don't think that the Giants have a way to win this game if their defensive line does not live up to expectations and does not challenge the Commanders' offensive line, and in turn, Jaden Daniels. If they cannot do that, then they cannot win this game. They don't have the infrastructure yet to be able to go toe-to-toe with a team like Washington. And again, this is your division rival, so this game is very important. So winning this game is paramount for both teams. But right now, I think the Commanders are better, and I have them winning this game. Now, we move to what should be an interesting game. The Bengals going on the road against the Cleveland Browns. And this one is interesting because the Browns, I think, are not going to be very good this year. The Bengals are going to be very mid. But here's the deal. The Browns and Bengals always split. They always split every year. I don't know what it is. It's in Cleveland. Joe Burrow loses a lot in Cleveland. It just happens. It's just a trend that I have noticed, and a lot of people also have noticed. And you add on to that the Bengals usually have slow starts to the year. So for the Bengals side of things, you better not start slow. This is a bad football team. There is no excuse for starting slow against the Cleveland Browns. I get it. They have a strong defense on paper. It should be okay. Led by Jim Schwartz. Myles Garrett got the big contract against the Bengals offensive line. That looks a little terrifying. But the Bengals have Joe Burrow. They have Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Mike Gesicki, Gabriel Yosevich going into his second year. Very underrated receiver in that group. This offense has no excuse to start slow. And if they start slow, then I'm going to call it out. They have all the firepower, not including the running game, which is okay. It should be solid. There is no excuse for the Bengals to start off slow in this game. But unfortunately, I can't trust that because they've shown that they cannot start fast. So then you go to the Cleveland side. If the Bengals start slow, this offense needs to capitalize. They cannot afford to go 3 and out and over again punt the ball 6, 7, 8 times against the Bengals. The Bengals defense also has its problems. So this offense should have some success. They need to have some success. And this is where they can be competitive against Cincinnati. Because if the Bengals offense gets off to a slow start, and if you're the Browns and Joe Flacco, and you can drive down the field, get a couple of scoring drives going, whether it's 2 touchdowns, a touchdown, a field goal, get a couple field goals, fine. Just establish some momentum for yourself, get a lead, and let the stronger part of this team, the defense, do its work against Cincinnati. It doesn't have to be pretty, but the Browns have a way to win this game. And given the track record of the Bengals starting off slow and not having success against the Browns in Cleveland, I think the Browns get the upset in week 1 and start the year 1-0 and let the hype train for Browns fans get on going, even though it's going to crash very, very early. So we move on to our next game, the Raiders versus the New England Patriots. This is going to be another close game. The Raiders, Pete Carroll, in his first time being the Raiders head coach in his first game, how is he going to perform against Mike Vrabel, who is now the coach of the New England Patriots? The thing is, this game is going to be close because Mike Vrabel is going to have his guys ready to go. The roster's not as good as the Raiders, but they're going to compete. They're going to punch the Raiders in the mouth. They're going to give them a little bit. And for the Raiders, they have good pieces on both sides of the ball, more of their offense, which is what I want to see. I want to see this Raiders offense just look clean. You have Ashton Genty. I want to see him play well, and I want to see Brock Bowers play well. Jacoby Myers, I don't know if he's going to be playing. He probably will be. I know he requested a trade earlier, a few weeks ago, but I want to see him play well. I want to see this offensive line do a good job against a defensive line for New England that still is missing a lot of pieces that shouldn't be very good. So the offense should perform well. That's what I'm looking for. And on the defensive side for the Raiders, they should also do well. Drake May going into year 2 is exciting. Your number 1 receiver is Stephon Diggs. But after that, there's not much of anything. So the Raiders defense should not be getting gashed. Although Travion Henderson has been very, very impressive so far this offseason going into the preseason. And they also have Ramondre Stevenson, Antonio Gibson. They have a strong running back room. So they need to they need to be able to stop the run. If they can't stop the run against a Mike Vrabel-led team, Mike Vrabel is going to do what he does best. Drag you through the mud and eke out a close win. If the Raiders can start hot and start fast, they will get up on the Patriots and win. But I expect the Raiders to have a slow start. Chip Kelly is our offensive coordinator. Chip Kelly offenses do not come out swinging in week 1. Things take time to gel if you look at history. So I think that the Patriots will win this game. They're at home. This is the first game after the new unveiling of the Tom Brady statue, which in my opinion looks awful, but that's not the point. I think the Patriots win this game looking at the Raiders' potential to start off slow on offense and Mike Vrabel's ability to take advantage of those situations and drag teams through the mud. Give me the Patriots to win this matchup. Then we move to another divisional matchup, not divisional round. 49ers versus the Seattle Seahawks. This one is going to be interesting because the 49ers are coming off of a year where they were awful. They were injured, and here's what I want to see from them. This offense, I don't want to see this offense look sluggish. If this offense looks sluggish, I'm going to be concerned, but they are going up against a strong Seattle Seahawks defense. So for Seattle, their defense is way more talented than the 49ers offense right now. Sorry, 49ers fans, that's simply the truth right now. So the Seahawks defense should perform well. They should match up well. It's going to be a good chess match between these two things, especially for the Seahawks defensive line. They should have some success against the 49ers O-line, which, while their individual parts are pretty solid, this unit has not been good enough. So that's going to be a matchup to look at. That's going to be something to follow. And then also back to continuing with the Seahawks, want to see this offense do well against a 49ers defense that lost a lot of pieces. They do have Robert Saleh now, so this defense better look more confident than it did last year. And so that's what I'm going to be looking for on their side. And for Seattle, this offense, I expect it to have a slow start overall to the year, but I want it to just look okay. Just look consistent, stay on schedule, no penalties, no turnovers. The 49ers defensive line is going to be strong, mostly, because Nick Bosa is still there. I really like Mikael Williams, their edge rusher out of Georgia. Their defensive tackles are a little bit of a question mark, but with two strong edge rushers, they should be able to perform well against this Seahawks offensive line. And let me tell you something. If this offensive line breaks down in this game against the 49ers have a real chance to pull off this upset. But right now, I think the Seahawks, with their strong defense, with enough pieces on offense to have some success and keep this team in the game, I think the Seahawks win this game right now. I think they're the better team. I think that they match up a little better week 1 compared to maybe later in the year when they face off. I think it was in week 18. So for now, they're also at home, so that's going to be really helpful. Right now, give me the Seahawks to win. I think it's going to be a close matchup for sure, but I think the Seahawks will edge it out. And then the last game before we get into our top 5 games, we got the Tennessee Titans, my Tennessee Titans on the road against the Denver Broncos. This one I'm going to keep a little bit short and sweet because the Broncos are winning this game. On the Denver side, what do I want to see? I want to see this offense and defense show some progression from last year. Both sides were really strong for them. I want to see them continue to grow. This defense, more in particular, how do their linebackers look now with Dre Greenlaw in there? Do they look a little bit more consistent? Do they look more ready to play? And then on the offensive side, I want to see what these receivers look like, because the one thing that I would say is a weakness of this team right now is their receivers. Courtland Sutton is really good. There's no qualms about that. But after that, it's not great. They traded away Devon Vele to the New Orleans Saints, who I didn't mention there, but that's a move that, while that honestly, that really wasn't a great move. I get it, Devon Vele didn't do a whole lot last year. I mean, he was impressive, but I feel like you should keep a young guy like that because he grows with Bo Nix. He's young. They're in the same timeline in terms of the progression of the team. You don't trade away a guy like that right now. You need all the help, or Bo Nix needs all the help he can get. And so trading away a guy like Devon Vele is never a move that I'm going to support, because it's better him being on the roster than him being traded away and you get a pick back. You got good value for the pick, though. You got a 4th round pick for a 7th round receiver. Great. But is that 4th round pick going to match up to what Devon Vele did as a rookie? Who knows? So right now, I think it's a net loss for the Broncos in that regard, and it makes this receiver room a little bit worse. Pat Bryant has been very impressive, though, their young rookie, so I want to see him do some good things. I'm looking for this receiver room to play well against a Titans defense that's going to have some problems. Let me tell you, the Broncos offensive line is really good. The Titans defensive line is going to be okay, but their pass rush is not going to be very good this year. We don't have good edge rushers. Our starting edge rushers are Arden Key and Draymond Jones. Those are fringe starters in the NFL. And then Jeffrey Simmons, Devondre Sweat, they're going to be fine. But also, it's not just that, it's the linebackers. Cody Barton, who's going up against his former team, that's going to be an exciting matchup for him. He's good. But it's the next 2 guys, Cedric Gray and James Williams, who are unknowns at this point. And who knows what they're going to play. They could be really good or they could be really bad. So I expect the Broncos to target these 2 linebackers. I expect them to attack them often. And then you get into the secondary where things are strong in Tennessee. If everything is healthy and everything is working as it should, the secondary is one of the best in the NFL. L'Jarius Sneed, Roger McCreary, and Jarvis Brownlee Jr. are really, really solid. And so I want to see them do well. But with L'Jarius Sneed, in his injury debacles and everything he's dealt with, there's no telling what L'Jarius Sneed's going to look like. And so that puts a lot more pressure on Roger McCreary, on Jarvis Brownlee, and all the other young corners that the Titans have. And also in the secondary, in the back end, with Amani Hooker, Xavier Woods, they brought back Quandre Diggs. So that's nice to have depth there. But the Broncos offense should have success against this defense. This defense is good, but it's not going to be good enough to stop this offense, which really relies on hitting big plays. If they can hit big plays and run the ball, then they will have success. But that's another thing, though. The Broncos need to be able to run the ball well. The Titans are a good team at stopping the run. They've always been that way. So if the Titans can stop the run and make this offense a little bit harder to stay on schedule, then the Titans might have a chance. But that's where we get to where the big problem is, and it's this Titans offense. Cam Ward's going into his first ever start. I don't expect Cam Ward to go light the world on fire. We're not going to see Will Levis or Marcus Mariota where they threw 4 touchdowns in their debuts. That's not going to happen. Not against this Broncos defense, I'm telling you right now. And with the lack of overall weapons, good weapons the Titans have, this is going to be a very big problem. Calvin Ridley is probably going to get shut down by Patrick Surtain, as he should be, because Patrick Surtain is one of the best corners, if not the best corner in the NFL. And after that, the 2 starting receivers are going to be Tyler Lockett, who's a veteran who hasn't done much of anything, and then the rookie Alec Iomanor, the 5th-round rookie out of Stanford, which was just announced he is going to start over Van Jefferson. And then tight end Chikakonkwo and Gunnar Helm. I don't expect them to do a whole lot. This offensive line, though, is going to be the big wild card on the offense for Tennessee. They sought out to improve it, to get it better. And so I want to see this offensive line do better in this game. I want them to look good. I don't think they're going to be awful, but they're probably going to struggle a little bit against this Broncos defensive line, which is great. But I want them to at least hold their own and show that the moves that they made were worth it. Bringing in Dan Moore, bringing in Kevin Zeitler, moving J.C. Latham back to right tackle. I want to see this offensive line look the part and look better and not a bunch of swiveling big guys on roller skates like they were last year. That'll help Cam Ward and this offense perform better. And also, Tony Pollard is not going to have his running mate, Tajay Spears. He's on IR, so expect these 2 backup running backs that the Titans have in Chestnut and Cal L. Mullings, rookie out of Michigan, to step up, which I don't expect them to. Right now, I think the Broncos are a better football team. They have a better roster, better coach, and also they're at home, which in September at Mile High, the Broncos have a very strong home field advantage because you add on the elevation along with what I mentioned earlier with teams still trying to get back into the swing of things, because this is real football, the first real football that these guys are doing in over a year. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be hard. And I think the Broncos win this game at home. Alrighty. Now we move to our top 5 games of the week. These are the 5 games to me that are the most fun to watch, that are going to be the most exciting, and the ones that I will be trying to keep my eye on the most. Starting with number 5, you got Monday Night Football, the Vikings on the road against Chicago. We got ourselves a battle in the Windy City. This is going to be a close one because these 2 teams match up pretty well. You got 2 young quarterbacks going into year 2. J.J. McCarthy making his first career start against the Bears defense that should be very strong this year. And you got Caleb Williams, who's going against last year a strong Vikings defense. So you got 2 young quarterbacks going up against good defenses with great offensive weapons around them. This is going to be a very competitive football game, and I expect the Vikings and Bears to be really, really close. What it's going to come down to, in my opinion, is which team makes the fewest mistakes. Which team has the fewest turnovers, the fewest penalties. Whoever can win those 2 battles will win this game. It's going to be neck and neck. And so what I'm going to be looking for, I want to see these young quarterbacks play. I want to see them look good. I want to see them make good throws and don't make any boneheaded decisions. I don't want to see the offensive line for either of these teams struggle. Both of them were overhauled this offseason. The Vikings brought in Ryan Kelly and Will Fries. The Bears got Jonah Jackson, Drew Dalman. They also brought in or traded for Joe Tooney. So these 2 teams did a lot of similar things this offseason. They're in similar boats in terms of their roster, how it's constructed, what's good, what's not good, the parallels. There's a lot of similarities with this team, which is going to make it really fun. And also Ben Johnson going against the Minnesota Vikings, where he had a lot of success against this team last year. Oh boy, this is going to be one absolute fun game to watch. But because the potential of this game being a low-scoring affair is very high, that's why it's number 5 for me. And ultimately, I think I have the Bears winning this game. They're at home. It's Monday Night Football. Part of me is kind of like, just why not? Let's have the Bears win on primetime. That'd be fun. That'd be interesting. And also, Caleb Williams has more continuity than J.J. McCarthy. If the Bears on their defensive side, if they can get pressure on JJ McCarthy, he's going to make mistakes and he's going to commit turnovers. The Bears have a strong secondary. They have a strong linebacking group for the most part. And, well, actually, no, should I say that? No, their linebacker group's pretty okay. Never mind. I was thinking they wrote Quan Smith. I was like, oh, wait, no, he's in Baltimore now. Never mind. But then their defensive line, it should be good. They brought in, oh, my God, Grady Jarrett. Grady Jarrett's his name, the defensive tackle. They brought Dayo Adengbo from Indianapolis, so they got some upgrades there. I want to see this Bears defense have some good things, because that's where this game's going to be won and lost. Whichever defense has more success against the opposing offensive line is really where it's going to be happen, and then whichever team makes more turnovers and has more penalties will lose this football game. But right now, give me the Bears. I like their continuity more than JJ McCarthy making his first ever start. And the Bears are at home on Monday night. Why not have the Bears win and make some people happy? Why not let the Bears fans be happy for once? Jesus, let's just have it happen, all right? So the Bears winning on Monday Night Football, starting off 1-0. Then number 4 in Brazil on Friday night in Sao Paulo, which I do not support. I don't know why we have teams going to Sao Paulo, Brazil, playing in a stadium that is not in a super duper safe area. But it's the Chiefs versus the Chargers. And this is going to be a good game for sure. The Chargers are trying to take down Kansas City to win the AFC West in a time where the Chiefs are the most vulnerable, in my opinion, they have ever been. But something that has told me, if the Chiefs haven't taught me anything, it is this. They are inevitable. And right now, the Chiefs, starting in week 1, are going to be ready to go. They're going to be competitive. They are going to compete well against the Chargers. They've had success against the Chargers, even on the road. And right now, I think the Chiefs win this game because I trust their continuity. I trust in the Chiefs winning against their divisional opponent. All the stats, all the trends point towards the Chiefs winning this game. But that's not to say the Chargers aren't going to put up a fight, because this offense should do good things. That now that it's improved, you have a better running back room overall with Amari Hampton and Najee Harris, a better wide receiver room with Ladd McConkey. Now you have Quentin Johnston going into another year. You're hoping that's a little bit better. It's kind of a little bit wishful thinking, if we're being honest, but that could always happen. Trey Harris is a rookie, but the offense should be better. The offensive line, though, is going to be interesting with all the pieces that they added, redoing their entire interior, bringing in Mekhi Becton, and then swapping Bradley Bozeman and Zion Johnson. So I want to see this interior offensive line do better against a weaker Chiefs defensive line. They lost plenty of pieces. So I want to see this interior have some success, and they should. If they don't, that's going to be a problem. But right now, with the Chargers, they should be able to compete. They're going to keep this game close, but looking at all the trends points towards Kansas City winning, and that's what I have here. And then number 3, the Bucs versus the Falcons in NFC South showdown. And this one, if you guys remember what happened last year in Atlanta, these two teams went into overtime. The ending was electric with a big touchdown by Cordero Hodge. I don't think that happens again. It very well could be. But what am I going to be looking for this game? On Tampa's side, I want to see Josh Grizzard do a good job against the Falcons defense that is not going to be great to start this year. This offense should still be explosive. It should still stay consistent. The run game should still be explosive. The pass game should be solid at minimum. Emeka Egbuka, going into his rookie year, should show some good things. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin should be good. I think this Bucs offense is going to have no problem performing in this game. The Falcons, though, their offense, led by Zach Robinson and Michael Penix, should be good. I expect them to do good things against the Bucs defense, although the Bucs defense is good in its own right. And this defense just needs to don't be garbage. Don't let big plays go over your head. The Falcons are going to have to fight tooth and nail to be in this game. And despite everything telling me that the Bucs should win this game, I think the Falcons win. The Falcons, are not so far behind the Bucs where the Bucs are clearly going to win. I still have them splitting this year. So at least right now, obviously going into the year, that's going to change as teams, we learn more about them. But right now, I expect them to split. And so if we're going by that trend, then the Falcons, I just have them winning at home right now. While the Bucs probably could win this game, and despite, like I said, I think everything's telling me the Bucs should win this game, I think Atlanta wins week 1. I think that being at home is going to help them. I think that, having the offensive firepower that they have in Baker Mayfield, being very gunslingerish, maybe if you can get a turnover or two and just get 1 or 2 big plays to swing in your favor for the Falcons defense, then things might work out for them. So right now I have them winning. It's going to be a close game. It's going to be a really fun game for sure. And that's why I have it number 3 in my top 5 games of the week. Then we move to number 2. Number 2, the Detroit Lions on the road against Green Bay. This one, absolute cinema. These two teams, when they face off, are always keeping it close. It's going to be competitive. What am I looking for in this one? For the Lions, new coordinators, new offensive and defensive schemes for the most part. Offensive schemes going to be more new to the defense because they promote it from within compared to hiring on the outside on the offensive side of the ball. But I want to see this offense and defense for Detroit just have some continuity. I don't expect it to be as creative or as explosive on offense or as nasty and as aggressive on defense, but they just still need to perform and just play well and look like the Lions. If they can just look like the Lions, they will win this game. That's all they need, because the Packers should be really good this year. And now that they traded for Micah Parsons, one thing is for sure, Micah Parsons versus Penei Sewell is going to be a amazing matchup to look at if you're into trench play. But for now, the Packers on the road, never mind. No, they're at home. The Packers are at home. Excuse me. No, correction. Packers are at home, which that gives them an advantage, obviously being at home. And the thing is for sure is that the Packers on the offensive side, they should have success against the Lions defense that was injured last year, that now that they're healthy should potentially have a slow start with the new coordinator. So look out for that. The continuity for the Packers right now is better than what the Lions have right now. And so for that, I think the Packers win week 1 at home in Lambeau against the Lions. I like Micah Parsons and what he can go do against this offensive line for the Lions, which they lost Kevin Zeitler. Taylor Decker retired, so they got a little bit weaker. So if there's any time to exploit it, Jeff Hafley has a chance here to add on with Micah Parsons and an already strong defense to be competitive and pull one off here. And then we get to our best game of the week, Sunday Night Football. Did anybody really expect this or not expect this? Come on. Ravens versus Bills. This was the best game of the week. This should have been the first game of the year. I am sorry. Putting Eagles in Dallas week 1 on Thursday night was a horrible decision. And the fact that the Ravens-Bills still got a primetime game, great. Fine by me. Let's cap off the week with the best, saving the best for last. So obviously these two teams have a history. Last year in the divisional round, they went toe-to-toe. They were neck and neck. And Mark Andrews dropped a pass. And before we know it, once again, Ravens are having another heartbreak, and then the Bills ended up having the same heartbreak the week after. So what am I going to be looking for? There's not really much to look for specifically with the Ravens and the Bills. I will say, though, I want to see corners. I want to see Jair Alexander, what he looks like for the Ravens. I've been hyping him up all offseason, along with the Ravens being the best team in the AFC this year. I still believe that. And for the Bills, Maxwell Harrison, their first-round pick out of Kentucky, I want to see him shadow some of these receivers like Zay Flowers. I want to see what he does against Isaiah Likely. Well, no, Isaiah Likely's on IR, excuse me. But even then, tight end Mark Andrews, I want to see how competitive he is. I want to see if he looks the part out there. And so Jair Alexander and Maxwell Harrison will be specific players I'm going to be looking for. Obviously, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, everyone's going to be watching for them. And then the trenches will be fun. Both offensive lines and defensive lines for both teams are strong. So those are going to be matchups to look at. And ultimately, whoever wins this game is going to be whoever makes more big plays. Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. That's ultimately what it's going to come down to. When you got two top teams like this going neck and neck, honestly, it's going to come down to which quarterback makes the bigger play. That's usually what happens. That's what I'm going to go with right now. And ultimately, who do I have winning this game? I think the Ravens win it. I think they get the revenge in Buffalo in prime time. And if we see a game-winning touchdown from Mark Andrews, which I may or may not bet on that, because that would be a massive win. I mean, massive payday if I bet on something like that. But that being said, I think the Ravens do get their revenge. I think they're going to come into this game with a passion. They're going to come in feeling some certain way about how things ended in their previous meeting. I think they're going to use that energy, bring it to Buffalo, and eke out a win on Sunday Night Football. Well, that being said, that is the slate. That is the slate of Week 1 games, and I'm so excited to be following it. Football, NFL football is back. So here we go. We are ready, and Season 2 of TheShumakeTake is now officially underway. With that being said, if you guys have made it this far, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing. It would help the channel a lot, help me out a lot as we try to continue to grow and spread my football passion and our football passion to more and more people and build this community that we're trying to build. And also, secondly, what do you guys think of my picks in Week 1? Where do you think I'm right? Where do you think I'm wrong? What do you guys think is going to happen in Week 1? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. Thirdly, make sure you guys follow me on social media, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff, just to continue growing the community over there. And then lastly, make sure that you guys check out... Oh, wait, never mind. I was doing that for the season preview series. Season preview series is done. So I guess that's going to do it for now. I apologize. But that being said, I hope you guys have enjoyed. Hope you guys are excited for football as I am. Week 1 is here, guys. Woo! Well, that being said, that is going to do it for me today. I will see you guys next week to recap Week 1 and preview Week 2. But until then, I will see you all next time.